Assalamualaikum all. I hope you all are doing well. And as I've already told you that today we are going to cover the things that we have already covered in the previous classes. We will implement those things. And I hope you all are ready with your systems so that we can all perform together. And if you have any problem at any point, you can ask me. So let's start with first creating a new application. Let me share my screen. Okay, so what we will do is we will implement the last class coding part, everything, because that includes the UI and the backend as well. So first we will create, I'll take it slow so that you all can implement. First let's create a new application. Better create um, name anything. Let's open up our Visual Studio. And you must have your Android phone or Android emulator because we are going to integrate things as per Android application. So the project is created successfully. Now let's open this project by drag and drop into the Visual Studio Code. Now first we will integrate this with our Firebase. You need to create your account here or log in into your account, and then click on this go to the console. Let's create a new project, add project. First thing is you can name any name to your project that you want. Firebase lecture 4. Firebase lecture 4, and let's hit the continue. I'll disable this Google Analytics. Create project. I'll wait for you guys to do this. Let me know in the chat box. Let's hit the continue. We'll stop here to let me know in the chat box if you are done with these steps. Simple, create an application, new application, and create a new project in the Firebase with any name of your choice. I'll clear this whole code. Okay. You can share your screen if you have any difficulties. I'll try to solve your problems. Are you all done? Okay, so next step is we will integrate with our Android. This Android, we will click on this Android and we will input our package name here. How we will get this package name? Um, in this hierarchy, Android, inside the Android folder, and then in the app, source, SRS, main, and here we have this Android manifest.xml file. And inside of this file, we have this package name. I'll copy this package name. This can be different as per your file name, project name. So I'll copy this package name and I'll paste it here. You can add an optional name if you want to. For example, app, and let's click on this register app. Now this SHA key, SHA1 is important when you are performing some Google sign in or phone number. Uh, but let's just skip this option right now. Let's hit this register app. Again, I will just write this inside the Android app, SIS. There's a file name as Android manifest.xml, and you will get your package name here in this Android manifest.xml file. This is the hierarchy. Android app source and Android manifest file. We have copied our package name, and then the second step here is to download this config file by clicking on this blue button. It will start downloading, and this image at the right side, it shows where to place this file. Inside of this app hierarchy, you need to place this file. So let me just cut this file and I'll place in my project, inside of this project, Android app, and I'll paste it here. So the second step is to paste the config file inside of the Android app. The first step was to copy the package name. The package name was from the Android manifest.xml file. We get the package name and we have just pasted, and then we have downloaded the config file and we have copy paste the config file inside of this Android app folder. Then I will click this next button. Okay. I'll open this so that you can see. Copy package name, paste it, config file. Okay, so what I did is I'll just click on the Android icon, and after that Android icon, I have copied my package name and pasted in this register app. And after that, I have downloaded the config file and pasted in this hierarchy Android app. Can you see that Android icon? Are you all done with these steps? Okay, so moving on, I'll check the output of everyone at the end of this class to make sure you are all performing. Ask me if anything, any difficulties you are facing. Okay, so next step is this. Um, you have to copy few things. Um, First one is this Google and then dependencies. So first, let's go in our project and we have to change to build.gradle files. We have two build.gradle files in Android. First one is under this Android. Let's close this app. Okay, first one is under this Android folder, this build.gradle file. And inside of this build.gradle file, it says project and build.gradle file. So inside of this Android build.gradle file, we need to add this dependency class path. We will copy this by clicking on this button and we will paste the dependency here under the class path Kotlin version. And we will hit the Control S to save this, or you can also save by clicking on this file and here save. After this, We will check if there is Google. Yeah, we can see here is Google, and after this we have this Google. So we only need to include this dependency of Google services. Next is another build file which is inside of the app module. So we will open our app. Inside of this app we have build.gradle file, and inside of this build.gradle file we need to include this plugin, Google Services plugin. We will copy this and we will paste this plugin here. After this Android application, Control V, and we will hit the save button, Control S. Next thing is under the dependencies, we need to include this platform, implementation platform. We will copy this, and in the same build.gradle file under the app module, at the end of this file we have the dependency, and we will paste this platform and we will hit the Control S. So we have added three things in the two build.gradle files. One is under the Android build.gradle file, and the second one is inside of this app module. These tabs are all mentioned here as well. We just need to copy and paste. I'll write here as well. There are two build.gradle files. Build.gradle inside the Android, build.gradle file, and the second one is Android app build.gradle.
Ma'am,
Yes,
ma'am, the file that we downloaded was pasted in the app folder, right?
yes, inside of the app folder.
That file was Google Services.json, right?
Yes, Google Services.json file.
Okay.
After this, I'll click the next button and I'll continue to console. And you can see here we have this app. Since I have optional name I have placed, so here's the app that we have integrated. Now to check if it is working or not, make sure you have saved these changes. in both of the build.gradle files. I'll just write the basic code, void main, and I'll import the material.dart. But first, let's create a stateful widget by typing stf and hit enter. And let's name this login screen. I'll remove this constructor and I'll click this bulb to import our material.dart library, and I will call in my login screen. This is the basic code, and I'll change this to material app, or we can also do I'll say material app inside of this run method. Material app, and we will press control space to show auto completion. And here we have home, and in this home we will call our login screen. Select the comma just for the formatting, and we have here run app, and inside of run app we have material app, then material app have home, and we have initialized our login screen. To check if Firebase is working or not, integrated successfully or not, uh, we will initialize our widgets flutter binding dot ensure initialized, and then we will say okay, before doing this we need to include Firebase core and Firebase auth in our PubSpec YAML. I'll close this Android hierarchy, and inside of the PubSpec YAML I'll introduce two files, Firebase core letter, copy the latest version, copy it, and we will paste it under this dependencies, Control V, and the second is Firebase auth. Firebase, I'll search for Firebase auth, copying this Firebase auth, I'll paste it, and you can always download this by hitting this get packages, or we can say Control S or save file from here. It will automatically start downloading. And after successfully downloaded, we will initialize our Firebase. Auto import package Firebase core, Firebase dot initialize app. Terminator. Since it may take some time to initialize, so we will use await keyword. And for the await keyword, we need to use async as well after the round brackets. And I'll save this file, Control S. Now, to check if Firebase is integrated successfully or not, we need to run this. I'll connect my phone. If you have any trouble, just let me know. Packages to download. Okay, so there are two packages to download: Firebase Auth and Firebase Core. Just search for Firebase Core and Firebase Auth. Firebase Core Flutter in the first one. Copy this and paste it in the pubspec YAML under the dependencies. And the second one is Firebase Auth. This one. Make sure to paste it under the dependencies, not the dev dependencies. I'll run this application since my phone is connected. Are you all done till here? When I write await, it shows error without with no error. Okay, await, and for the await you need to and write the async as well. Async keyword. Async and await works together. Mm, okay, after pasting the line of code in build.gradle, save that file, press Ctrl S, and now close that build.gradle file and import the pubspec YAML, import the two packages in pubspec YAML file, and then this main.dart file. Create this main.dart file code with the void main function and the stateful widget, and initialize these two lines to check if Firebase is working properly or not. How about others? Are you all performing or is there any problem? Okay, nice. Mm. When you launch your application, it must be black screen because it's a container. If we type in scaffold and inside of this body, if we place a container, now it will be much better. To remove that, let, let me see if my screen is visible. Yes. So to remove this debug, I'll just type in check debug, debug show checked mode banner false and control S. So that banner is gone. Next thing is next thing what we can do is we will create this UI. Um, for the UI, what we want is first we want a text to appear at the top or at the. Mm, I'll show you. So first we want the text to appear here as login, and then after this text, we want two text fields, one for the email and the other one for the password. Then we want a button, login button. So to do that, what we can do here is first we will change the background color. To include a background color, we will say colors dot. You can choose any color of your choice. I'll choose this one and control S. The background color is changed. Okay, so next thing is after the background color, we will we want everything to be centered. First, we will um, control space for the child widget, and inside of this child, we will place a text, and text will be as login. And I'll show you the output for this. Let me just display time. I'll increase my display time. Okay, so now let's save this and run this. Control S. And you can see there is a login text at the top, which is very small, and I wanted it to be in the center. So what I will do is I'll click on this text, and I'll click this yellow bulb icon, and I'll wrap with center. I'll click this wrap with center. I'll add comma. Now if I see, so the text is centered now. What's next is I'll wrap this text with a form, because we want a form for the email and password, so that we can have a key and we can check if the form has any error or not, if the fields are empty or not, or anything like that. So we will wrap this with a widget, and inside this widget will be a form widget. The form widget will have a child and a key. And this child will be column, since we are doing everything in a column, vertical. So, and this form cannot have more than one child, so we have to have column or row. So we will um, column wrap with column, text widget wrap with column. I'll save this. The output should be same. Okay, since the when I added the column, it is horizontally centered, but it is not vertically centered. So to make this vertically centered, what we can do is, inside of this column we have two things: main axis alignment and cross axis alignment. And we want it vertically centered, which means for column, main axis alignment, main axis alignment dot center. And we will save this. Now it is again centered. So the column can have multiple childrens. So we will add our text fields as well. I've already told you that for the column, main axis alignment is the y-axis and cross-axis alignment is x-axis. And for the row, main axis alignment is x-axis and cross-axis is y-axis. So it's opposite for the row. I'll wait for you guys that you can perform together. Sorry. Yeah. Do let me know if I'm going too fast. What we have done is we have initialized our Firebase in the main void main function. Um, Before even initializing our application, we have initialized the Firebase. We have connected it, and then in the build file, we have this scaffold widget. Inside of this scaffold, we have a container, and container have a color because we want the background color of whole application to be different other than white. So we have this color. You can change this color, you can remove this color as per your choice. We have the center widget because we want everything to be centered. Then we have a form. We have this form for our input fields, so that we can check if the input field have any errors or anything. And inside of this form we have a column. Why we have column? Because column can have multiple childrens. We can add multiple things, multiple text fields or multiple buttons. So we need to have a column or a row. So we have included the column. Once we create this login screen, the registration screen is as same as the login screen. We can just copy paste as well. Screen not showing. What is the error? Okay, my screen is not showing, sorry. Sorry. Now it is visible. My bad. Okay. So for this, what we have done so far is we have a container, we have a scaffold widget, and inside of the scaffold we have a container. Container have a color for the whole UI. We want a different color, and you can remove this. You can change this color as per your choice. Then we have a center widget, and inside of the center widget we have a form. Inside of form we have a column. We have column because we want multiple children's multiple widgets inside of the column, so that's why we need to have a column or a row. Have you all implemented till this? We can change this login color as well, or we can increase the text size as well. Are you all done? Just let me know in the chat box, or you can ask me. By implementing with me, you will get the better understanding of what is happening and how to perform it. Now, inside of this text, I want some styling. So, what I will do is I'll control space and say style, text style. Inside of this text style, I can change the color or font size or font weight, anything. I'll first change the color. Maybe the color should be white or black. It's already black, so I'll change the white. Let's save it. It's showing some blue lines, so I'll remove this for now. With a lens, um, this will remove your blue lines where you can see the code. So what I have done is I just introduced the styling property here, and inside of the styling we have this text style, and text style will have a color. And we can also say the font size, font family, font size maybe 30.0, and then we can have a font weight property. Font weight maybe font weight dot bold, or these are all the different kind of bold, how much bold we want. For example, 600, 700, anything. Let's save it and see the results. It's much better. Okay. Um, you can style this as per your choice, as per your background color. Then after this text field, what I want is I want two input fields after this text field, and this is all centered already. You know this by this widget, so we don't need to do anything for this. After this text, we need two text fields. So uh, we will say text form fields, and this text form field will have controller and a validator and the label text as well. So we will create this one text field, and we will copy paste for the other one. So this text form field will have a controller. First, let's have a validator, um, because we want something. We want to check if the value is null or not, and this is checked through the key. We will introduce our key first. Let's check this validator. If value is empty, and since we need to include this exclamatory, mm, return, let's say email cannot be null, or cannot be null, cannot be empty. This is cannot be empty is much better. We will say return email cannot be empty, else return null and terminate it. So we have a validator, and validator have a value as a parameter, and this parameter is checking if the value is empty. We include this exclamatory, since after the null safety requirement we need to include this, otherwise it will show us error. So now value dot is empty If value is empty, we will say return email cannot be null, this string, or as return null. So if I save this, Control S, and let's see the output. We have this text form field. If I click on this text form field, we can type something, but we want this text to be white as well, and we don't know what this field is, so we need to say email or password here must should be written. So inside of this text form field, after this validator, we will include the decoration. Decoration will have an input decoration. Input decoration will have a label text. Label text. Label text will be email. Let's see. So it is written email. If you see clearly, it is in blue in color, so we cannot see it clearly. So let's change this color. Let's say label style, text style. Text style will have a color property, and it will be color dot white. Now let's see if it is visible or not. Now we can see the email. I'll select this text. I want this text to be white as well. Whatever we write, we want that white as well. So we will do something for it. We have our text form field. After this text and text form field have two things. One is validator to check if the email is empty or not, and then we have a decoration for a label text, because we want something to be written, and then we have styled our email text. Okay, you must have error because you have not initialized, you have not introduced the dependencies in the public YAML file. Firebase core and Firebase auth. And after the initializing that Firebase core and Firebase auth, make sure you are importing this package Firebase core.dart, since this Firebase is from the Firebase core.dart file. Okay. Okay, let me show you the dependencies. These are the two dependencies that we have added, Firebase core and Firebase auth. You can find these dependencies here, Firebase auth and Firebase core, by just searching for Firebase core Flutter, and open this first link. and copy this Firebase core by clicking on this copy and then paste it here. And same for the Firebase auth. Okay, so we have this login and a text form field which have email, validator, and decoration. Okay, so the next thing is we will have another, we will first initialize our controller. Now the controller is necessary, we will initialize it here inside the text form field. So controller, I'll initialize our controller in the state class. Make sure you are in the state class, not the stateful widget class. So inside of the state class, we will take text editing controller. We will name this controller as email controller and text editing controller. Text editing controller, and I'll copy this, Control C, and paste it for the password controller as well. Now this controller will contain the text that whatever we are typing in that text field. So text controller, inside the text form field we have a controller, we will the email controller. Now after this text form field, I'll copy this text form field, whole text form field, and Control C, and after this text form field I'll paste it for the password. And I'll change this text to be as password cannot be empty and label text as password. I'll save this. Let's see. This is working. It's still the black in color. And why it is working together? Because we have email controller at both sides. So we will change this to password controller. Okay, now it is working separately. Okay, so we want this as black color as well. So what we can do is we will style, but not inside the text, not inside this label style. Label style is just for this email. Um, Inside of this text form field, after this decoration, we can have one more property as style, and we will say text style. Now this is not necessary, but just to make things a little beautiful. Colors dot white, and I'll copy this style. And after this decoration, input decoration bracket, I'll paste this and I'll save this. Now let's see. Now you can see this is white as well. You can have a little space between of these two fields. Um, so one text form field is this one. I'll just add some comments to email text field, and this one is the password text field. Password text field. So after this email text field, I want some gap. So what I will do is I'll introduce a sized box, control space, height, maybe 20, 30, 30, Now it's much better. Size box is just an empty box with some height. So we have added two text fields and now we will create two buttons. One is for registration and one is for login. Just let me finish this and I'll give you a break of 10 minutes then so that you can implement this whole UI code. Um, After this text form field, we want a button. So here password text form field ends. I'll create a button, flag button. Um, flag button. Flag button will have on pressed bracket, curly braces, and this child will have a text widget. For example, we say not registered, sign up, sign up yourself or sign up just. Mm, I'll save this. You're not registered, sign up. And whenever we press this button, we want something to happen. But let's let it be empty for now. And what we can do next is I'll change the color as well to be white because everything is white. So text color, color spot, white. So this is now white. Okay, so email and password. We need a padding after this email and password. So in by clicking this text form field, the email text form field, we will hit this yellow button and we'll say wrap with padding. Now let's change this padding to something, let's say 30, 30. And I'll cut this padding and I'll paste this padding bracket after this text form field. Not this flat button. That's a flat button. It's showing some error. Let's see. Padding introduces and then okay. So let's see first. Okay, so email is fine. Okay, let's create another padding for password. Um, by clicking this text form field of password, we'll wrap with padding. And again the 30, 30, the same 30, yes. Save it. And let's just decrease the size box to 20. Let's just remove the size box. Let's reload this application. Because the padding is much more. I'll remove this first. Let's say Control Z. Before this column, we can add the padding. Okay, so we'll wrap this whole column with a padding. Now that is much better. 32 or 30. Now this is fine. We have this form, inside a form we have padding and then we have a column. and the size box is still there. We we will jump onto the next screen when we click on this not registered sign up button. But before that, we will create another button for login. So we will create another button. After this flat button, we will create an elevated button, um, just to make something little different. So elevated button will have again on pressed and child will have text again, the same stuff. Login. I'll save this, and here we go. Okay, so this is much better now. Before implementing on pressed events, uh, you all perform till this, and I'll take a 10-minute of break, and you can all ask me questions and do let me know if you are doing with me or if I'm going still too fast. Once we have created this UI is almost completed, we will just copy paste for the registration screen and the same whole UI, because we will just want this login to be registration, and we will remove this not registered sign up button, and we will change this login button to register button, and then we will implement our Firebase. Okay, nice. So the purpose of controller is basically whatever we type in that text field, we want that to control that field. For example, if I type in the email text field, I type lena@gmail.com. So I want that text to see. We will implement the controller functionality. You will get to know why we implemented that controller, because when we will create a function of Firebase, and we will pass our controller text. Controller is basically a text that whatever we are typing. One more thing you need to initialize is the form key, um, which is the final key, because it's not going to change. Global key, global key will have form state consists of type form, and inside of this form we have one parameter of key. I'll press control space, We have this key, and I'll pass my key here. Now this key is necessary um, to check if it is a password is empty or it is null or anything. So I'll check on this login button if the key is null or not, if the key is validated or not. If side of this login button, if our key dot current state dot validate, if it is validated, then we will call our function here, call sign in function. If the statement is true, add a null check, this exclamatory null check, key dot current state dot validate. If it is true, then we will call our sign in function. Otherwise, it will show us this string. It will return these strings. Password cannot be null. Email cannot be null. Let's hit this login button and it say email cannot be null and password cannot be null. If I type in something and again hit this login button, so it says password cannot be null. We can introduce something different as well. For example, if I say else if, one more condition. For example, if I say value dot length, if I say password should not be less than 6 characters, so less than 6. If password is less than 6, then it should show something different like password cannot be less than 6, or password should be strong. You can also type in, else it should return null. So if I type here 4 characters, okay, so if I hit login, so it say password cannot be less than 6. And since this is a password, this cannot be a text in text form. So what we will do is inside of this text form field, we have one property of obscure text, and we will say obscure text true, control S. Now the password is in the password form.
Ma'am, I'm unable to import the Firebase core package in main.dart file.
Hmm, you are not okay. So can you share your screen? Um, Open your pub/spec YAML file, dependencies, Firebase core, Firebase auth, and download these dependencies. Get packages at the top right. Hit that button. Yes. Okay, it successfully now main.dart file. Remove this Firebase package. Remove this line, import line. Click on that Firebase that shows error. Hit that bulb. Yes, import library. The run app is showing error. Yes, it's fine now.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let's move forward. Mm, Now, since we have created our UI, the next thing is we will create our functions. But before that, what we will do is we will, in this Firebase console, we will click on this authentication and get started. In this authentication, we have several providers. We will use this email and password provider. Enable this and save. So it is enabled. Next thing is we will create our Firebase auth. To create the Firebase auth, we will create one more class. We can create a folder as well, services folder. Let's create a folder first, services. This is not a necessary part to create a folder, but to make things organized, authentication service dot dart. So we will create one more class that is a registration screen. Let's say in the folder of screens. The screen folder will have a registration screen. Registration screen dot dart. Okay. I'll first create this registration screen so that we can jump on next page. STF stateful widget. Hit enter. Registration screen, and I'll clear this constructor. Importing this material.dart, Control S, and this container will be changed into scaffold widget. Inside the scaffold widget, we will have control space, body, and that bar, body of container. Let's save it. We will call this main registration screen from this flag button, since this we want this flag button to be clickable. Whenever we click on this not registered sign up button, we want to jump on the next screen. So to perform that, what we will do is we will change few things. That is this run app function. How we are going to change is inside of this function, we will create routes. because we will have separate routes of a dashboard screen and a registration screen. So this is easy way to create routes, and routes will have several routes, curly braces. Then for the registration screen, register. You can name anything you want. Then we have a context, equals and greater than sign. Then we will call our registration screen here. Registration screen, it will auto import from package Firebase and add the comma. And this home will be changed to something different. We will initialize one more login screen here as well. Backslash login, column, context, and equals, since it's a one line of code, so we can use this equal and greater than sign. Then we will call our login screen. Login screen is this one. I'll add the comma. And for the, we have to replace the home with the initial root. Initial root will be inverted commas, and we will copy this name, whatever the name you are keeping here. Just copy this and paste it here. Initial root. So initial root will be login, and then we will call this register inside of our this inside of our flag button. Now to call this register, what we can do is navigator dot push name, navigator dot push name, push named, and context will be there. Root name will be, will remove this inverted commas and control V for the register. And I'll put the terminator. Let's save it and let's see if it is working. Anything not registered. I'll reload this application. Hot restart. Now if I click on this button, it will jump onto the next page. And back. Okay, so it is working. Now to create a registration screen, we will just copy paste the whole code. This scaffold widget, we will copy the whole scaffold widget. Scaffold widget till the end. Scaffold widget. Control C. I'll paste it here. Control V. And there are some error of password controller and email controller. So we will initialize our email controller, password controller, and form key. Copy these lines, and inside of the state class, I'll paste it. Save it. And since this is not a registration screen, this is not, and this is not a login screen, we will change this text to be registration or register. And email will be the same, password will be same. We don't want this text. Let's just save for see what's the output. When we click on this not registered, it shows the register, email and password. I don't want this text. So what we will do is we will clear out this flag button, and I'll change this text to be register. Now let's see. Let's change. Okay. So if I want to go back on the login screen, what we can do is we will create one more button to jump on the login screen. We can create one more button, elevated button. Before or after this, we will create after this register button. elevated button, one more elevated button, on press of this elevated button, and this will have a text of let's say pencil, and I'll add the comma to auto format, control S, and this on press will have a navigator.pop. What navigator.pop do is it will pop out the last previous activity, which is our login screen. So I'll say navigator.pop and context. So this will jump on the login screen. Let's reload this. Okay, so this is I want not registered. I want this to be in a row, not in column. So what I will do is I'll wrap these two widgets inside of a column. Inside of a row, sorry. So let's wrap with a row, wrap with a row. And this row will have this elevated button. I'll cut this elevated button, Control X, and I'll paste it inside of this. Let's see. I want this to be centered, which should be already centered because we are doing everything in the center. So what we can do is space evenly. We can use one property of mean axis alignment. Mean axis alignment, dot space evenly. I'll save this. And this is much better. I'll use one size box because I want some gap between the password and the register cancel button. So before this row, I'll add the sized box. Size box will have some height of maybe 20. I'll add the comma. Or we can say 10. Okay, it's fine. So this is all about the UI part. Now we will move on to the functions to connect with Firebase and the backend services. Key code. Okay. This is the key. We have initialized here key as a global key of form state, of a type of form state, and we have initialized our key here in the form. And we have used this key and at the end of the registration button and the login button. If key dot current state dot validate, then it should jump on the sign up function and the sign in function. If it returns true. global key. Inside the form, we have one parameter of key. We will call our key here in this parameter first. Then in the at the last, we have this registration and the login button in the main.dart file. And we will check if the key current state is validate. Then we will call some function. We have not yet created this function. Key.currentState.validate. Is it clear now? Initial root should be login screen. This name. And make sure you have authentication enable this email and password provider. So next thing is we are going to create some functions in this authentication service class. Let's create class authentication service. Mm, Three functions we will create for registration. Registration, login, and the sign out. For the registration, we will create new user. Create new user will take two parameters, that is string email and string password. And this will be of type future. This will return a future object since we are going to perform a network operation. Inside of this, uh, we will have our try catch block. So if there are any errors, we must know, and it should not block a UI. So try catch block, insert a try catch block, and we will print errors. Print t.toString to convert it into a string. Simple. Inside of this try block, we will say user credentials. User credentials will auto import from Firebase auth package to the credentials. User credentials equals await, and because this is a network operation, await, and before this we need to create an authentication service, authentication service, or let's say auth equals authentication service, and we will use this authentication service here, auth dot is auth dot, okay, authentication, not the authentication service here, Firebase authentication, Firebase authentication, fire Firebase auth. Now we will say auth equals Firebase auth dot instance, Firebase Firebase auth dot instance. So we will initialize our Firebase auth first, and after this Firebase auth, we will call the Firebase auth variable object here, and auth dot also create user with email and password, and we will pass our email and password here in the parameters. I'll add the comma and terminator, and this await is showing error because we need to have an async keyword here, async. And after this user credentials, we will create the user with this user credentials. So we'll say user equals user credentials, dot um, user credentials dot user. It is showing error because it says a value of type user cannot be assigned to a user. Okay, so this should include this question mark symbol. Return user. Now, what this question mark mean is we have three kind of things here. For example, if I say string variable, string name, or we say string, let's initialize this just to explain why this question mark is necessary. I'm doing this string name 2, and let's say string name 3. So uh, if I include this question mark here, it says it means that this value cannot, this value can be null. This means this value can be null, and this string name is showing error because this cannot be null. It should be initialized. It says this cannot be null. It should be initialized. It should be initialized immediately. Initialized immediately. That's why it is showing us error. And the third one, we can say we can include a keyword late. Now this statement means here that this cannot be null, and it can be initialized later. Initialized later. Um, it's still showing error because this need to be initialized to something. So the errors are come. So there are three kind of statements to initialize any variable. So we are using this one statement that this value can be null. I'll remove this. Let's comment this out. And I've first we have created the user credentials with the create user with email and password. We have passed our email and password, and then we have the user created with our user credentials, and then we have return our user. This is simple for the registration, and same for the login. We can copy this and control V. We will change this to something login user, and same email and password async and everything will be the same. And we will change this auth to create user with something different, that is sign in with email and password, and everything else will be the same. Email and password and user credentials, and we will return this user. For the sign out is very simple. Future, again the future keyword, since it's gonna be network operation. Sign out user, and async, and we will have our try catch block. Print e.to string. Inside of this try block, we will simply return something. Return auth dot sign out is a function called sign out, and we will return null if it is not sign out. So we need to return something different. So if there is an error, so we can copy this and paste it. These are the three functions. Now we will use these functions in our main.dart file and registration screen. We will pass our email controller and password controller that we have created. Do you have any questions? Anything that is bothering you? Okay, so in the main.dart file, we will create our login function. Inside of this sign in function, we will create our function void. Let's say call our function here sign in user. I'll create this function inside the inside the state class void sign in user, and I'll initialize my authentication service class here. Authentication service equals authentication service, and sign in user. Inside of the sign in user, I will create authentication service dot create login user, because this is the login page. Login user, and for the email we will say email controller dot text, whatever the email user types in, and for the password we will say password controller dot text. And we will save this something result var result, and if the result is null, if the result equal to null, then it should print something, different. Print something, I'm an error, or else it should clear the email controller and the password controller field. And the same thing will be for the registration screen. We will call here our function of sign up user. I will create this function at the top. void sign up, sign up user. And we will initialize our authentication service again. Authentication service equals authentication service. And authentication service, um, authentication service dot create user, new user with the email controller and password controller. Underscore email controller dot text and the password controller. And now to check, now we will save this into a result again and see if it is not null, then show us something different. So we'll say var result, table result, and if result is not equal to null, if result is not equal to null, it is successfully registered. So we will clear our email controller to email controller dot clear and password controller dot clear. These are the text form fields that we want to clear out, and we will go back to our navigator dot pop context. We will jump back to our login screen if sign up is successful. I'll just run this application. I'll hot restart this application. Let's see if it is working or not. Not registered, sign up. ABC12345. Register. It is registered successfully. Jump onto the next page, which is login. Let's see in our users. I'll reload this. It is successfully registered, and I'll log in this. Dina@gmail.com, and then we have a password ABC12345. Login. It is logged successfully because we have our email and password are cleared, which means it is successfully logged in. We can jump on the next screen, which is dashboard. I'll just create a dashboard screen with a simple normal text so that we can see something. Dashboard. But the name dashboard is not valid. Okay. Dashboard dot dart. This is valid. Stateful widget str and dashboard screen. Dashboard screen. I'll quickly remove this constructor. Importing a material.dart inside of this fold widget. Fold will have a body of container. Inside of the container, we will have a centered widget that we can see something in the center. And this center widget will have a child of text. Container center text, and text will be dashboard screen. I'll reload this application. Let's log in. Lina@gmail.com. Password is ABC1234 5. Let's hit the login. Okay, because we have not initialized this dashboard.dart file in main, I'll copy this, paste it, and I'll change this name to dashboard. And here we will change this to dashboard screen, and I'll call this dashboard screen inside of the signing user. After this clear, um, navigator dot push named context, and root will be dashboard. I'll copy this name. Control V, terminator, control S. Let's reload. ABC1234 5. Login. Dashboard screen. So it is working. Are there any questions? Have you implemented till this? Do let me know once you are done. Um, can I? Can you share your screen, Zohib? Please try to everyone please try to implement this. Otherwise, you will not get anything. You will not understand anything. Please share your screen, Zuhail. Authentication service. Okay. Okay, the error is you have not included the exclamatory sign after the current state before the dot. Exclamatory sign. Yes. Then there's authentication user credentials. Auth Firebase on that create user with email and password. Email and password. Mm, Hover on this user credentials. Okay, remove the string name and name too. I've just for was just for the explanation. Okay, hover on this user credentials. Undefined name user credentials. You have spelling mistakes. User credentials. Um. Yes. Okay. And what else is authentication service? Hover on the authentication service. What it says, a class authentication service must have a body, even if it is empty. Um, have you closed it properly? Authentication service. Async try catch block user. Remove this one bracket, the last bracket. Yes, this one. Remove this. It should be curly braces, not the round bracket. Yeah, I think class should always be in the curly brackets. Yes, yes. Okay, and in the registration screen there are also some errors. This key current state. Um, After the current state exclamatory exclamation. This key is not initialized here. This key was initialized in main.dart file. You need to initialize this in the registration screen as well. Copy from a main.dart file. There any other errors? Scaffold wizard. Okay. Okay, so if you have any other questions, ask me, and I need uh, you all to perform the assignment. All you have to do is just perform the sign up, sign in, login, sign up, registration, whatever, inside of your email application that you have already created, and share me the assignment, email me the assignment before the next class so we can move on the AI part. Mm, what are the errors? Please share your screen. There's a different error every time. Gradle sync failed. Have you tried it running on your physical device in your phone? No, it will not run on Chrome. Um, don't try this on Chrome because it's a web application then, and we have integrated our Firebase for just the Android. It will only run on the Android. Mhm. Share your screen so that I can see. I cannot see your screen. Okay, now it is visible. Mm. Now it is visible. Your screen is visible.
Ma'am, this is my new food delivery app.
Mm.
I'm also unable to run this on Android Studio emulator.
Show me your code or show me your errors. Gradle error. cannot see. Um, your only browser is showing. I cannot see the code. Show your entire screen. Run this application. Failed. Show me this and debug console. Not don't run this on Chrome. Run this on emulator. And stop this. With the yes. Run this on Chrome or your device. Run this on your emulator or device. Sorry. Hmm. If others want to leave, you others can leave if there are no other questions. This is still running in the Chrome browser. It says no device. Connect your phone.
Ma'am, actually, I haven't connected my phone because
Mhm.
whenever I used Android Studio, I used to run the app on emulator. That's why.
Um, Connect your phone so that we can try on the real device as well.
Okay,
If
ma'am.
there, do you have a TeamViewer application?
No, ma'am.
Yeah.